The Miami Heat made one of the biggest splashes in free agency this year, landing Kyle Lowry in a sign-and-trade. Or at least, the Heat might have made one of the biggest moves in free agency. I guess we'll see on that. But presuming that the move does go through, the Heat added another star-caliber player to the roster in addition to their all-star duo of Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo, and that added talent on top of how great the fit is has quite a few people excited for this team going into next season. So how good will the Miami Heat be next year? Let's talk about it. Before I continue on with this video, about half of the people that watch these videos are not subscribed, so if you fall into that 50%, please subscribe. I'm trying to hit 200k subscribers on this channel by the end of the year, so your subscription would be much appreciated. Also drop a like on this video, it only takes 1 second and makes a massive difference. Let's go ahead and take a look at this team's depth chart for next year. Other than signing Kyle Lowry, their notable moves were just re-signing Duncan Robinson, Victor Oladipo, and Dwayne Dedmon, on top of losing Kendrick Nunn in free agency, along with, of course, the trade for Kyle Lowry, moving Goran Dragic and Precious Achiuwa in the process. The starting lineup will likely be Kyle Lowry, Duncan Robinson, Jimmy Butler, PJ Tucker, and Bam Adebayo. I could see some people being surprised that Duncan starts over Vic, but with how much they just paid Duncan, on top of the fact that Duncan is more than likely better than Vic at this stage in Oladipo's career, makes me pretty confident that that will be the choice. Though I do think that the Heat's best lineup could very well be Jimmy Butler sliding down to the 4, Duncan Robinson to the 3, and Oladipo at 2. That's a whole lot of perimeter defense, and as long as the team isn't particularly big, I think you can get away with that lineup with Bam out there. Also, a lot of playmaking with that lineup. Off of the bench, we have Victor Oladipo, Tyler Hero, KZ Okpala, who I think will actually get real opportunity this year, Markieff Morris, and Dwayne Dedmon. First things first, let's talk about Kyle Lowry, what he brings to the table, and how that fits with Miami. Kyle Lowry is quite the Swiss Army knife as a player. Need him to slow down an elite point guard? He can do that. Need him to score 25 points? He can do that. Need him to orchestrate your offense all the way to double-digit assists? He can do that. And because of those qualities, Kyle Lowry fits on all 30 basketball teams in the league. However, because of his playmaking and shot creation ability, he is particularly important to this Miami Heat roster. Last season, in the first round, the Heat were completely shut down offensively because the Milwaukee Bucks were able to shut down Jimmy Butler. Once Jimmy was on lockdown, that was essentially it for Miami's offense. The Bucks specifically prevented Jimmy from going downhill, which made the team have to settle for jump shots, and more importantly, not even get clean looks on those jump shots. Normally, Jimmy attacking the basket would make the defense collapse, and as a result, he'd make a pass to the open shooter or throw a lob to Bam, but because he couldn't get downhill, it became clear how much the offense relied entirely on his attacking and subsequent playmaking. After Butler couldn't do anything, it was up to the rest of this Heat roster to make something happen. And let's just say it didn't happen. Add Lowry to the equation, and while he doesn't outright fix an over-reliance on Butler, it definitely mitigates that problem quite significantly. Instead of Tyler Hero or Kendrick Nunn being the next up to create a shot, it will be Kyle Lowry. Now, I will say the fact that they moved Dragic in the process of this move does take away from the addition and shot creation. Like, overall, they're still better there, but not as much as if they were able to keep Dragic on top of that. But the point is, Lowry and his playmaking and shot creation fits flawlessly with what Miami needs, on top of already fitting flawlessly because of his defense and outside shooting that Miami is a big fan of. One element of this that is particularly exciting is how Lowry pairs in the pick and roll with Bam Adebayo. Now, I will say this particular duo and how Lowry affects Bam is being a tad overblown, because it's not as though Bam didn't have a great playmaking guard slash wing out there already in Jimmy Butler. It's just going to be a little bit better with Lowry, and it's just more options. The pick and roll between Butler and Bam was already great, but more playmaking is never a problem, and because Lowry is a significantly better pull-up three-point threat by like a mile, that pick and roll duo will be harder to guard. Bigs are more likely to step up on Lowry from 25 feet out than Jimmy, and that will mean easier looks for Bam Adebayo. That being said, I would like to see more out of Bam offensively this year. He took a leap in the 2021 season, specifically as a mid-range shooter, but taking that ISO ability further, making 2 or 3 threes a game would be really nice. Butler and Lowry's playmaking on the floor at the same time time should make the offense created for Bam much more frequent, but I'd like to see further steps there with Bam as a self-creator as well. A leap like that on top of the addition of Lowry could take the Heat really far. If Bam can jump up to being like a 23 point per game scorer on top of what they already have, that would be massive. In terms of what this move means for Jimmy Butler, well, he does have a better shooter to kick it out to at the guard position than he previously had over Goran Dragic. Not that Dragic is a bad three-point shooter, because he absolutely is not, but Lowry is towards the top of the league. Dragic in the last 2 years shot 37% from 3 on 5 attempts per game, while Lowry has shot the same percentage but on more attempts, not to mention a higher volume of those that are off of the dribble, more heavily contested, and from further out. Even if the numbers do not spell out a drastic difference, I can tell you from the eye test that Lowry is clearly a better three-point shooter. Also, I guess I can real quick talk about PJ Tucker. His addition was very surprising and also very annoying because I wanted him to return to my Bucks. I mean, the Bucks, not my Bucks. What? But PJ absolutely fits into Miami's identity. Having a guy out there perfectly content shooting the ball 3 times would be really good for this team. Having a starting lineup that includes Kyle Lowry, one of the better guard defenders in the league, Jimmy Butler, one of the best wing defenders in the league, PJ, one of the most physical and best team defenders in the league, and Bam Adebayo, who has a case for being the best defensive player in the league. I'd give the title to Giannis, but Bam is right there for me. The Heat should have the best defense in the NBA next season. They might not necessarily rank number 1, but they will be the best defensive team because they have the personnel and of course the great coaching by Eric Spoelstra, who by the way is the best coach in the league. So they have everything it takes to be unbelievable defensively. Then add on to it that their offense should be quite good as well with Lowry added, and I would expect the best defense in the league alongside at minimum like the 11th best offense or so. And that all chalks up to a team that definitely fits into the contender category rather than the pretender category that they ended up being in last season. That being said, I do have a few concerns, and I feel like some people are jumping the gun a bit with this team. Depth-wise, Tyler Hero and Victor Oladipo are incredibly wishy-washy. Them off of the bench could give the Heat the best bench in the league, or one of the most inconsistent and kind of shitty ones in the league. I am of the opinion that the Heat should have traded Tyler Hero when his value was peaking in his rookie year. I made a video about the conflicting timelines with this roster in the past, and that's because Tyler on this team often annoys me for that reason. That said, if he has a breakout year, if Victor found some semblance of consistency for the first time since his breakout season in Indiana, then the Heat could go from a good team to a great one. Because Hero starting to live up to his potential and Oladipo being, let's say, like a 13-4-4 guy off of the bench with great defense and good three-point shooting, that's a crazy good bench. And that would make this one of the deepest teams in the league. Not to mention you could put Oladipo in place of Duncan Robinson sometimes, and that's maybe one of the best defensive starting lineups we've ever seen. Another concern I have is that the Lowry trade won't actually make the team that much better. Like, I just described how Lowry makes the team better, but at the same time, Lowry isn't a top 15 player or anything. And with this team specifically, they honestly needed their big move to be a little bit bigger. For them to be a genuine threat to a team like the Milwaukee Bucks, and especially a healthy Brooklyn Nets, I feel like they needed something bigger than this. That being said, the Heat will absolutely be a very good team next year and one of the top teams in the conference. I would be shocked if they lost in the first round again, and if they did, it would be because they had a very unfavorable matchup against like a Nets or a Bucks. But even if that happened, they would not go down without a fight like they did previous. I could honestly see this Heat team pushing the Bucks or even the Nets to like a 6-game series, but unfortunately in the case of the Miami Heat, the league is really an arms race right now, more so than it usually is, which is already a pretty big arms race, and it seems like the Heat just added like an AR-15, but the rest of the teams have RPGs and tanks. And hey, your chances are higher if you have the AR-15, but you're still facing an uphill battle is my point. But anyways, that's what I think about the Heat next year. I think they'll be good, but just not a real threat to the Bucks or and especially the healthy Nets. But yeah, that's it. Shout out to Rudy for editing this video, but that is the end of this video. Please be sure to like and subscribe for more NBA content like this, and cue the outro music.